Welcome, people. Welcome to Bitcoin Live, another exciting episode. I've got a guest, a recurring guest, Kevin Bradford, back on the show to talk about some amazing project. I think you want to tell it yourself. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, thank you for having me again. It's really nice to join you guys again, and yeah, like it's second or third time, so all good. Yeah, we'll jump into the new project and some other things. So happy to talk.
Yeah, most of our followers and people who follow you online know you from Celsius because you do a lot of amazing work for Celsius, sharing those data sheets and keeping people up to date about Cell. So, but you also got a new project, Yield Labs, which is really exciting. It's like a platform for, I think, DeFi and CeFi and how you can get the best yield there. You want to talk more about Celsius right now, or just jump right into Yield Lab?
Yeah, so basically we're basically it's just expanding on the work that we previously did, where we focused on. So when I came into this space full time, I really wanted to focus on kind of like all of the platforms holistically and kind of evaluate who were, what portion of a portfolio to put where, and what are the pros and cons. And I quickly found that there wasn't many viable platforms, in my opinion, after doing like a risk analysis on them all, rather than Celsius. So kind of focus on that for a long time. I believe that there is other offerings in BC and DeFi now that are kind of emerging. So are they up to the grade, or do they have the track record? No, not at the moment, because these things take time. But I think it's time to start looking, elsewhere and look at the whole space, the whole yield generation space, rather than just looking at individual platforms and turning our communities into kind of echo chambers. So we kind of welcome in all discussion on any platform, and we can look at the new offerings, we can look at the older offerings, we compare them against Celsius, we compare what the new offerings have that Celsius doesn't have. And I think it's going to be very valuable for the people that participate, and they're going to kind of be able to make more informed choices from our analysis.
Yeah, because DeFi really exploded, and when you're into crypto, you see and you look around, you notice that a lot of people are actually switching to DeFi and making big predictions also about the DeFi space as a whole. I think it's one of the places that you can actually earn money even in a downturn. One of the places. Yeah, I'm really excited about this conversation. I was really looking forward to it. And yeah, show us what you got.
Yeah, I can show you. I've got a few slides just that I kind of put together, just basically on. Let me try and pull this up. Let me just pull this up now. Share. Let me know when you can see this. Should be live now. Yeah.
Yes, I can see it. It's over.
Yeah, all good. Yeah. So this is where basically, as I mentioned, we're basically just formalizing. Rather than, we were just individuals before, kind of offering the best advice that we could, an analysis on these platforms, and we're basically formalizing something different, and new, just rebranding what we did, so it becomes all inclusive. So let me just I can just jump into this, and one of the main elements of the Yield Labs is basically the community, and we're going to try and build a similar community format that we had before with the Celsius, where it's Celsius only, but now we can include all of the projects, but we can deep dive, and we're going to have a great panel of guests, and use Zoom and different places to kind of really go deep into these projects and track their experience. So quickly, for people that don't know me, I was formerly in the British Army. I was a telecommunications technician. Once I left the army, I went into oil and gas, satellite communications, and working with governments and maritime installations across the world. I spent a lot of time in the Middle East. I'm still in the Middle East now. Been in Dubai for 10 years. I moved out of that career in 2019 just because I saw the potential in crypto. I'd already been in crypto since 2017, and I saw the yield generation category as it was kind of a white paper and an idea, and I basically tracked that and studied it ever since. Become an expert from an external perspective, I have a lot of contacts as well inside the companies. I've never worked inside these companies, but I kind of try and remain impartial. I've worked with Celsius on projects and the other companies too. So yeah, I'm full-time and I basically practice what I preach, and I live off the yield generation strategies now. And I have a number of clients as well. So that I kind of advise, and we're kind of formalizing this into Yield Labs, which is not affiliated with any companies, and it will basically be able to evaluate the platform. So you can find me on these places here, website. I do Medium articles, and there's an email and on Twitter as well. So just quickly, the objectives of kind of our project is basically like it's an all-inclusive community. We're not having any silos or any, as long as the platform is basically legitimate and they're trying to build something sound with a sound team, we're going to include it, and it's acting in the best interest of the community that it's trying to serve. Then we will evaluate and comment accordingly. So everything we're going to try and do will be free of charge, and we're just going to deliver that to our community, and your community is welcome to join. And if they want to deep dive on yield generation specifically, we're going to do YouTube videos and Medium articles, outreach like we're doing today, and just working with all of the other channels, just basically try and inform them on how you can put your crypto to work, how you can take less risk, if you like, and use stable coins to generate risk on positions with a stable coin without taking any volatility risk in your portfolio. There's a lot of things we can talk about there. Portfolio management, portfolio as a business and a revenue stream rather than just a top line number, and things like that. So, and also what we're going to do is get all of the talent that we focus on our show. You're welcome to join the show anytime. It's an open format. As long as you're adding value to the crypto community, you're welcome to join and comment and join the panel, so we can showcase to our community the best undiscovered talents and just show what they have to offer and their skills, because there's so many good people in our network that are just not, they have small channels and they don't have the awareness, but they're actually doing like amazing content. And then just finally, we want to drive all of the companies, Celsius, Yield Apps, Anchor Protocol, your DeFi, CeFi, whatever offerings, we're trying to basically drive them all to a higher standards to say, look, we're watching what you're doing, we're checking the on-chain, we're checking the off-chain, we're checking everything that you're doing, and we're basically making sure that you deliver what you say you were going to deliver. So it's all basically in the best interest of the community. We're not paid or anything for this. Any paid content that we do will be kind of given back to the community in giveaways. So we're not looking to monetize this element at all, and it's just basically a free, open community that anyone's welcome to join. So I'll just go through this one quickly. So like I said, we're looking at yield generation platforms. We're going to use a lot of Glassnode data on off-chain analysis, fundamental technicals, lots of different approaches, and we're looking at a long-term mindset, risk-adjusted returns. We're not looking to take crazy risks, and basically attack this crypto space from a different perspective rather than just buying very risky assets, trying to 2x and 5x and 10x, and then it just going up and down with the volatility. We're trying to look at a revenue stream approach rather than just as you would in a business, rather than trying to achieve max gains. And like I say, it's completely open. Anybody can pitch ideas and join us if they want to. So the panel just basically have to be experienced in what they are kind of talking on, time in the market, and have proven track record themselves. Some of the speakers, just myself, Plancy, a lot of the Celsius community are joining in, and we're going to really try and discover who else is out there. That's part of the idea of the project, to kind of find some of the better minds in this space that are completely undiscovered from the other communities. We have Kevin in Singapore. He's like the co-founder. He's a serial entrepreneur. My brother's takes care of the social media. We have a lot of in-house kind of skills in terms of like data analysis, presentation, Power BI, Glassnodes. It's crazy the amount of just skills that we have in our network, and we want to showcase that. So we work a little bit with Cultivate Crypto. They're a good channel. They do educational content. We work with your channel too. we're willing to work with anyone. Joshua's done a lot of work with Celsius directly, and he's a business analyst and a data analyst. Patrick at Wave 3 is very good at fractal analysis, technical analysis, and he has a great engineering mindset. And I really enjoy listening to what he's going to come and join the show sometimes. And obviously, one of my good friends, Toby, takes care of our project management side and kind of working with businesses within the sector. So all we need back from the community is basically to share the content, just spread the word, and just basically contribute as you want. If you want to take consultation services on the side from any of the panelists, you're welcome. There's no obligation, and it's just come and join us and learn about your generation.
So that's super exciting. I mean, I love it, and we're definitely going to share it and promote it as best as we can. I know within our community there's a lot of lovers of Celsius, of course, but also I think Aave, because you're also working with them. And we just like really good projects that are, giving content back to the people and that are really open, because you're basically doing a critical quality control on the space, and that is invaluable. And like you said, you don't get paid for it, so that also shows that it's independent. And channels like ours are also independent. We also don't get paid. It's just our opinion, looking at the market as best as we can from our little vantage point. But
yeah,
to come back to you, you actually, you're really, you got a really good view on the market. Actually, last time you were on, you made an excellent prediction, which I wanted to highlight today. Because back then, I think it was in January or February that you were on. We just lost all our content, so I can't look it up. But you made a prediction that there was going to be a bottom, or like a deep chasm, in fact, because of all the leverage in the system. And you were worried about how people were going to navigate that if it were to happen. And yeah, you were spot on, because Bitcoin crashed dramatically. And I know so many people who were new in the space who were like, okay, this was it. It's 2017 all over again. I'm getting out of here. And also you got people or companies like JP Morgan saying like, this was it. Or at least they see the bear market continuing. And they think with the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust that it will unlock and unwind, and that it will continue. So do you want to make another prediction? Because we're in a very difficult spot at the moment.
Yeah, so look, I was worried. I was worried because we did deviate so far above the 20-week moving average on Bitcoin. We ran up so fast, and I kind of knew it wasn't sustainable, and my alarm bells internally were going off. Obviously, we ran, I made that prediction, and we were like, whatever, 37,000, 34,000, and we ran up to 65,000. So, for this tends to happen with me. I'm short term wrong, but kind of medium term, I'm usually in the right area. And I kind of, with that crazy run, I kind of knew that it wasn't sustainable in terms of a full bull market, and that we'd basically, more than likely, the higher probability is that we'd kind of have a double cycle within a cycle as a best case scenario, or and a lengthening overall cycle. So I was commenting on that heavily, just because I believe that situation is like very, very difficult to navigate, because you don't know whether you're coming or going. We don't know where we are now. Are we going bear market? Are we going, is it a short-term bear market? There's any terminology you want to kind of put around it. So I kind of predicted that, just because I knew it was a very difficult thing to navigate. Typically, the market makes it as hard as possible for you, and it played out perfectly. And I'm typically contrarian in my approach. I was, getting rid of a lot of assets on the way up, not my core holdings, but kind of speculative positions that I'd held for years, and converting it into more of a revenue stream, and basically just restructure my portfolio for maximum revenue rather than maximum gains. And my whole portfolio is still intact, and I have maximum gains on a weekly, daily, monthly basis. So it kind of worked, and it was scary, and that was ridiculous up and down. It even caught me off guard. I never thought we'd retrace that far, but I was prepared
Oh,
accordingly, and I advised a lot of my clients to kind of try and think about things, not from a maximum gains perspective, rather than like a kind of maximum revenue and a risk adjusted perspective. So yeah, it's easy to make calls and get some right, some wrong, but yeah, I think as long as we understand where we are in the overall picture, I think
yeah.
that's what's important.
Now, I wish I could say the same thing and that my portfolio was still intact, but it is partly in shatters. Luckily, due to CeFi and DeFi projects, I managed to save some of it. So some of my gains I got out. We talked about this, of course, before going live. Yeah. A lot of people like me, we still have we work our regular jobs. So it's very hard with crypto, of course, to keep a tab on stuff. And that's also why you could have to have put stops and stop losses. And but a lot of people, of course, they aren't as adept to that as someone like you is. And that's why they should, of course, follow Yield Labs and follow you. Because if I listen to you, I might have better prepared myself for something like this.
It's very difficult because it is, like even, I felt extremely uncomfortable. I was watching everybody get rich around me and I was underperforming in terms of what the market was offering at that time. But, and it's so you basically have to be wrong for a very long time to be right. And it takes a lot of emotional toll on you to be wrong for so long, for months and months and months, while everyone's laughing at you while they're like making 2x's every day and you're just like kind of making 30-40% on your portfolio, and a nice revenue stream, and you're taking a lot of risk away. So it is hard, and I'm not a trader. I don't try and like trade in and out of positions, but I think there's times when having a lot of capital on the side and then kind of being prepared if we do go down significantly more than we already, I think that we're at an absolutely critical time now. We're sat basically on top of the 50-week moving average on Bitcoin. If it breaks, I think we start to see lower levels. So, a lot of people are over deployed. They don't have no dry powder. They have nothing left and they're just waiting, and they're going to have to basically ride out what comes next. So that's fine, but that comes at a big emotional cost. And I've done it myself, and it's hard on your brain to kind of watch your portfolio just go down and down and down, especially when you're not producing revenue. Yeah. And you have to basically deal with it. You made your choices, and you've got to like just wait 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and then it will come back, of course. And then everyone's a genius again, when it's going up. So, but yeah, so I'm kind of like keeping yourself well positioned, not taking too much risk, keeping the bulk of your portfolio in a yield generation strategy that's kind of stable and not volatile, and then just having some fun speculative risk on the side is kind of what I recommend to clients that I use, but obviously not financial advice to any of your users.
Yeah, luckily we weren't overextended or overexposed. So that's something we always tell our people. And of course, we don't give financial advice anyway, but that's just common sense, and it should be common knowledge that you don't take excessive risks, like you say. Mm. But hearing you speak just now, it seems that you're kind of negative on the market in the medium term.
Yeah, in the short term, I would say cautious, and because I don't really understand where we could literally toss a coin and be up and down tomorrow. Yeah. So I think anytime we're in the toss a coin up and down tomorrow, it's a no trade zone. I don't trade anyway, but it's a no deployment zone for me. For new participants, I would say be very careful. Put 20% of what you have. If you have to buy something, just 20% of what you want to buy today, and just wait. And if you have to buy at higher prices, that's okay. Rather buy into strength rather than losing 50% of every deployment you make, because as we see, like, things can escalate very quickly, and we can be down at the 20K levels on Bitcoin if Bitcoin wants to do that, and the larger participants want that. So I think if we break the 50-week moving average on Bitcoin, I think it's significant downside. We take out 30 again, it's going to maybe 24, 23, 26, whatever the number, it's a significant discount from where we are. So not trying to time the bottom and catch the knife or anything, but I'm just saying keep your portfolio intact and your capital intact, and wait. And I think patience and often doing like 1, 2, 3 things a year is enough, instead of trying to do something every week and every month. And I think people are over eager in this market, they end up making a lot of mistakes and get chasing themselves around. I do very little, to be honest. I just maximize my yield and I tweak my portfolio in terms of yield generation. But my core deployments, I don't. I very rarely deploy large amounts of capital, but I do it maybe 1, 2, 3 times a year. So you have to be a lot of patience involved.
But like you also say, it's difficult to make sense of the market right now, and that's probably also because of the derivatives and the bigger players getting involved and their mindset. Do you agree with JP Morgan's assessment about Grayscale's GBTC unlocking, or do you think that has nothing to do with what's going on? Or?
I think it plays a part, but also as we've seen, there's a lot of large markets, just individual market participants that kind of or collaborate or whatever they do. So I think it's a combination. I think we have to just kind of look at what we see in front of us. So I see a lot of volume drying up, things on social media drying up, less traffic, a lot of users kind of joining our channels. I see that, but a kind of less activity in terms of like tweets and likes, but just kind of like people in the background following and learning, new participants coming in. So I think with that, volumes drying up in certain areas, there is a lot of bearish sentiment and kind of I think the majority of people are always wrong, but and the very few are right, the contrarian mindsets usually. But I do think we'll probably see at least a wick somewhere down before we see a correction. And I would probably, if I had to make a prediction, I would probably say 6 months, maybe all of this year is completely just sideways, choppy for 45, 30, 45, just relief rallies everywhere, just pure confusion so that nobody actually knows up or down, and it will frustrate and shake out a lot of people. And those who are brave enough to accumulate here, maybe you're rewarded, maybe not. But yeah,
not... 6 months will be a trial for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of whatever is the hardest mentally to deal with is typically what will happen. So like focusing on your revenue, focusing on your yield, focusing on these things is a way to like say, okay, I'm making money off these assets, I'm doing okay, my capital's in one piece. And then if we do depreciate significantly, I'm positioned to buy rather than just saying, oh, I'm holding this bag up and all the way down. And now like I've got to hold it all the way through the chop. And that's just damaging. Like it's very damaging unless those things are very, very high yielding components. And often a lot of the speculative assets, they don't have any yield generation or any, ability to collateralize or do anything with them. So, if you look at assets like SNX, at least you can get like a big yield on that thing, right? Like, it's whipping up and down, but there's a big yielding potential on it. So, I don't really buy anything unless it's has a yield attached to it and it can be collateralized.
Well, this is like a perfect example why you should follow Yield Labs, because you get expert visions like yourself. You do know everything, I think, about yield and things like Celsius and DeFi and CeFi. We actually have a question from one of our viewers. He asked if Celsius will offer yield on fiat.
Not at the moment, just because of the licensing. Celsius would love to do a lot of things, but the regulators, they've just pulled out of the UK, which is disappointing. Not because they wanted to, just because of the UK regulations and kind of the restrictions and laws there. So they are compliant, and they're focusing more on the States and different things. So they don't have that license to be able to offer yield or basically, I think you need a banking license to be able to do that. They don't have it yet, so maybe they get it in the future. Maybe it's not in their roadmap. Maybe it costs too much. Maybe it's too much effort. Maybe it would only work in one state out of the 52 or whatever there is in America. So they don't offer that. I know there's alternatives, and we'll be covering those on our socials. So look out for that. That will kind of because their entities are positioned in places where they can have an on ramp and seamlessly go between. So that's what we're looking to cover. Like basically all the platforms are good in their own right. They all have a risk adjusted return. They all have their pros and cons. They all have their own licenses and a jurisdiction. So let's compare it all properly, and we can build a portfolio based on our analysis. If something's older or something's newer, we take more risk, less risk, more of a track record, whatever. So it's about being a holistic and not kind of banging one drum. Let's bang all the drums and try and make as much as we can, in a sensible manner.
Yeah, bring people together and also educate yourself, because these
Yeah.
moments are perfect to educate yourself. And I saw a lot of other communities. One example is London Real, for example. They're also big on DeFi. So you see a lot of people pushing DeFi at the moment as a means to generate gains in this difficult market at the moment. So it's a perfect time to educate yourself. But you also mentioned something else just now. What do you make about the whole Binance thing that's going on with the banning of Binance, or making it difficult for Binance to operate in different European and Western countries, and even China? I saw.
Yeah, they haven't really covered themselves in glory at the beginning, when they were just jumping around from country to country. I think they went to Malta originally. It's just the UK ban was just basically they didn't have. I think there's 4 companies that have the set license that you need to operate an entity within the UK, and I don't think Binance had that. So Celsius had it and then didn't have it. So they positioned themselves accordingly, which is fine, and they paused new signups, and that's unfortunate, but that's just what happens. It happened in Germany too, right? And we're going to see more and more of this. So we have to, with Binance, I think they're trying to play the game but they're everywhere, and there's such a force that, of course, they're like the biggest target. The regulators are just all over them, especially because of their kind of track record in the early days. But I don't think they're the worst. Not my favorite company. I don't use them, but
It's hard.
They're trying.
Yeah, and of course that will also, I mean, especially for people new into crypto, something like that looks really bearish when you look from it from the outside. I mean, a company like you say, I think Binance is the biggest at the moment. So if regulation is clamping down, people usually think very negative thoughts, right?
Yeah, and we always have the DeFi alternatives, right? And like you said, Aave is a great one. Yeah, the rates have dropped, and Aave is a great way to learn. Get $50 or $20 and just play around when the gas fees are low, and just get into that ecosystem. Use Matic, use whatever Polygon or whatever you want to use, and just experiment with these things. Use the Luna ecosystem, the Terra ecosystem. Take a loan out on it, get liquidated with $20. That's a great experiment. That's a good $20 spent, because you actually know what happens when you get liquidated in those environments. So that's what we kind of encourage, like just playing around. Here's some best practices. Go and play outside the best practices with a small amount of money. Get wrecked, and then you actually learn. What happens, and that's good. That's money well spent.
Yeah. You need to have skin in the game, because otherwise you just don't learn. It doesn't sink in what you're doing. No, but don't do too much skin in the game, because otherwise.
Just a tiny amount, whatever a tiny amount is. Some people $50 is a lot of money. I get that. So whatever it is, that's you can afford to educate yourself with. You use that amount.
Well, I used to poker a lot with my friends, and it was only interesting, and you only learn something if you put a little bit of money on the table, because otherwise it's just like everybody was just doing stuff. Didn't I make any sense? But
it's that whole emotional element, right? A lot of this is kind of theory, and what are we going to do, right? That's one side, but it's being able to manage your emotions and position and be calm, patient, understand, have people to talk to, all that kind of skin in the game is very important too, right? Because when you do buy things, you instantly want the gratification and the dopamine hit, so you have to be able to control this and as well.
Yeah, one of the things that you quickly learn when you're trading is that you're actually fighting yourself. I mean, you're your biggest enemy. It doesn't really matter what the market is doing. You just have to do you have to follow the market, basically, or you have to follow the signs that it's giving you. But it's very hard to fight your emotions. When you get things are looking very good, then you want to go overextend yourself. But the things look really bad, then you want to get out. Those kind of things. It's of course a beginner's lesson, but a very important lesson.
Yeah, I think when you look at things from a yield generation perspective as well, so let's say you've got a revenue stream coming off an asset. If you're looking to reposition or whatever, you're basically giving up your income. So this is why I try and help educate people on this topic. So you better be buying something that's a lot better than what you're getting, in terms of this revenue stream. It better be an improvement. You better not make a loss. So taking, they help thinking in this mindset as like crypto as a business. And I've written an article on this recently, and looking at like you wouldn't just turn off your your pizza shop if kind of the value of the business went down, right? You're still making the same money. So making these decisions like rationally as a business, rather than just like clicking buttons on Binance and different things, is the way to kind of like rationalize and help your brain kind of understand what you're doing.
And what do you make about, you had Skybridge, for example, who said we're nearing a supply shock, like we neared in October, November, and Glassnode and Willy Woo are saying like the bottom is in. So they're more like fundamentalist or like a fundamental analysis that they're doing there. But when you look at technical analysis and stuff like what we just talked about with JP Morgan, there constantly seems to be a conflict between the TA and the fundamental analyst. What do you make about that conflict there, or that discrepancy?
So you're right. And to be good in this space, you have to be able to manage wealth. You have to be able to like position size properly, risk manage. You have to be able to look at this stuff Willy Woo's doing. You have to be able to do technical analysis to know when to buy, or you have to just ignore all of that, DCA and leave it for multiple years. And that's very hard to do too, right? So whatever you do, it's hard. So like, I agree. Like they all have different perspectives, and one is a longer term lag in data approach where they're kind of looking at overall trends and stuff and kind of, things that have happened already, whereas TA is kind of a live update. So for me, the technicals are always, when I see the technical picture get bearish, and I'm not a super technical analysis, but I just use the major indicators to basically, okay, are we bull or bear, right? And how close to the line are we? So when we get close to the line of being flipping, over the trend, I get nervous, right? And I just kind of take a bit of risk off and just prepare accordingly. I prepare mentally for the downside. So I think TA for me is kind of is the one that I look at the most, but I really appreciate, and we have people within our group that Clancy, he does a lot of Glassnode analysis. So I think we have to bring all this together, combine it all into an informed, and the thing, it's changing every hour and day. So we have to, what I say today is wrong tomorrow, and I've adjusted myself tomorrow. People watching this video, if they're just going to listen to me and not do anything else, and I change my opinion tomorrow, then they're going to be wrong. So we have to constantly look at all these indicators and look at the sentiment, look at everything on social media, and it's just making this like, it's like when you cross a road, right? You're gonna there's a car coming, technically you should wait or go to the zebra crossing, but so you make that split second, like, is the wind blowing, is it raining, is the car coming, how fast is it going, what car is it Ferrari? And you just do that, like you make that decision, and then you cross the road in front of it sometimes, and you get there to the pavement. So that's what you have to do with all of this. You have to think of it like all of the parameters, and then kind of like, shit, okay, that's where we are right now.
And to stay in that metaphor, you have to keep looking left and right? You just not one time and then keep crossing because
that's it. Or know when to cross, and then just to say, okay, I'm not going to make it. Let's go. let's get back to the pavement. Yeah, it's something you do naturally, right? That's what I'm trying to say. But you have to learn, watch channels like yours, other channels, come to your labs, listen to what we say on the Your Generation, go to Willy Woo, go to all these people. Find your own way and your own path, and use like what is working for you, what didn't work for you, when did you start making money? Oh, okay, you start making money now, like what did you do different than you did before? Often people do nothing. They do nothing and then they start making money, right? That was one for me. There was an epiphany for me. I did nothing and then I started to make money. I was just like, well, I was doing all this effort and nothing was happening, and now stuff's happening. So
I think it was Peter McCormack who said he only buys the dips when he sees them, and that's all he does. And he's still in profit at the moment.
It's a valid strategy. It's valid. That is a valid strategy. Also, just buying anywhere and waiting 3 years is a valid strategy. That's a valid strategy. But I'm telling you now, most people can't do that. Most people, they say I'm going to do it, and then they buy, and then a year later they do something else. So if you're going to do that strategy, just do that strategy, and like literally just get on with your life. Buy whenever it is you want to buy, and just shut the wallet and come back in 3 years, and you'll be in profit probably. So
Alessio Rastani always says, "Be strict in your rules and flexible in your expectations." I think that's also very good advice. So, what is your view when it comes to alts and Ethereum and the whole DeFi space? Do you see like some relief rallies or rallies there in the future, or do you think it's all connected to Bitcoin? And
I think it's becoming less and less connected, and obviously the rise of Ethereum and everything that's going on, and the whole narrative around a kind of Bitcoin and like Ethereum, overtaking and whatever, and ETH2 and everything. So I think as we go on, it will become less correlated, and I think you might see a detachment, or maybe even a flipping in one day. Like who knows down the road of maybe Bitcoin loses its thing. But I think Bitcoin's secure in its position as what it is. It's the only institutional grade asset that's there. It's the only thing that most of the new big institutions or participants can actually access for a GBTC or whatever they want to do. So the rest of it's just a sideshow, but it's a fast developing sideshow, especially Ethereum. From a retail perspective, from us who can access all the assets, it's very interesting, right? And we're watching the amount of capital that's locked in DeFi, and the amount of Bitcoin that's wrapped on Ethereum is like 1% of it now or something like that. So it's crazy to watch this, but obviously be very, very careful on outside of anything Bitcoin and Ethereum and stable coins. Probably even stable coins, you have to do your analysis, make sure. Everything else is kind of highly speculative and volatile in my opinion, but that doesn't mean don't buy it, and doesn't mean don't investigate those things, because you can generate a lot of wealth. Just make sure it's a small percentage of the portfolio, because if 1% turns into 10 or 20% of your portfolio, that's a crazy gain, right? You don't need to buy 50% of the portfolio in something speculative.
No, and that's why they should follow you, and they should follow Yield Labs, and also follow other interesting projects out there. We always try to get the best guests and the best projects on our show. We try as best as we can, but we're very happy to have you. So can you tell our viewers again where they can find you and where they can go to get started with Yield Labs?
Yeah, go on Twitter at Yield Labs, or one word. Follow us there. There's the logo, and we've got a YouTube channel, Telegram channel. You're welcome to join. I shared it in the slides before. That's on the screen now. You can follow that one, and we'll be doing a lot of YouTube content, closed Zoom calls. You're welcome to come and join, and just enjoy the community. We'll be posting some of the sections on YouTube. Some we'll be doing deep offline Q&As as well. So if people want to ask questions to the panelists, it's a great opportunity. So it's worth hanging around. So we're gonna also start working with a lot of companies in the industry, building out our own products and services. But the core community project is very important to us, because we've all done very well at this space. So we're doing this because we want to do it, not because we need to do it. So we really want to give back to this community and help people make sound decisions and upskill kind of the level of investments and strategy in this space, because it is very, to put it bluntly, very poor, the kind of allocations that people are making. And I have a lot of high net worth people coming to me saying, like, you're actually conservative and you're talking sense and you're doing very well. So how are you doing this? So I think that's the way to go. And I think being unbiased and not compromised by any one party is also much needed in the space, just like you're doing. So yeah, follow that project there. You can follow me at Crypto Flipping, my personal account as well, and I have a website and different things. So happy to work with anybody if they need any help.
Yeah, no, definitely we'll do that, and we'll keep promoting these projects. And I hope you're not right in your prediction that it will take 6 months.
I do. So I hope, and that's not a solid prediction, I'm just saying, I'm mentally prepared for that type of scenario. I hope I'm wrong and it just feeds back out of this, but we never get what we want, right? I didn't want this double cycle within a cycle. I just knew it would probably happen. I didn't want this, because this is extremely hard to navigate.
You have to be hard-nosed and realistic, and you have to also, what you say is very important. You have to be mentally prepared, emotionally prepared for the worst, and then it can only get better than you expected.
That's it. I like to be wrong. I'm never one of these people that goes back and says, I was right. I want to be wrong. I'm often wrong to the upside. I have a track record of being wrong to the upside. So I like that. I don't care. Everyone laugh at me if I underpredict things and it skyrockets. Like I don't really care. I just want to make sure I'm right to the downside a lot of it, higher, more times than not. So yeah, let's see. I'm prepared for
On
the
the
rest
other
of the
hand,
year.
it's also good to make these predictions, because then you kind of learn by having skin in the game, because you make a prediction and then they either come true or they don't come true, but it's something to hold yourself accountable for, and
Yeah,
other
that's
people
it.
too. So that's a good way to learn also. So yeah, Kevin, I want to thank you really very much for being on the show. I really enjoyed it. It's always fun having you on and learning so much. And I recommend everybody to follow Yield Lab right away, and you, of course. And yeah, I can't wait to do it again in the future.
Yeah, we'll do another one. I'll share, like, I'm in your group, so I'll share like anything we do. Your community is welcome to join. Just come and listen, and if you want to comment, and if you're like want to speak and you have something to offer, come and speak with us and connect. We really want to discover who these people are and like showcase this to the crypto community.
Yeah, let's grow together, and let's improve our skills together.
Yeah,
So
thank you very much. I really enjoy coming on this channel.
it was my pleasure, and hope next time our brother is here too. So I wish you a really nice day, and take care, Kevin.
Yeah, get well soon. I hope he's back soon.
I hope you do. Take care. Bye-bye. So people, that was Kevin Bradford, talking about Yield Lab, an amazing project. You should definitely check it out. It's open source. It's open for everybody. So join in right now, because this is a time to learn, to educate yourself, to make the most with what you got, to earn some gains. That is always a good thing, and not to overexpose or overextend yourself. Like I say always, this is not financial advice. Just educate yourself. This is basically an educational program that we're doing. We do have skin in the game, and we got hurt during the downturn, but we are still doing okay, relatively fine, and we can't wait for the next leg up. And for all you viewers who had the time to hang in here and to view this whole content, there's $20 worth of BNB to win, so you can get started with Yield. All you have to do is make a tweet, tag us, so that's CryptoND and J Dalmolder, and tag Kevin, that is Crypto Flippin, crypto, what's it called, _flippin. Yeah, that should be enough. I'm checking for Yield Lab. 1 second, might be nice to tag them too. Yield Labs, yeah, so also tag Yield Labs. Make a tweet, tell everybody what you learned here, what stuck with you, what really excited you, but most of all, what you learned. And the best tweet wins $20 worth of BNB. 24 hours, so you got the whole day to think about it. Watch the content, learn, and improve yourself, improve your skills. So I always say 2 things at the end of the show: watch, learn, and earn, and makes you wonder. Take care, guys.